Well, hello, and thank you very much for clicking on this video today after a few recent changes around here. So today, I don't want to feel like I'm banging on about this, but I'm going to bang on about this. We have another instance of how the far right just spread information and harass perfectly innocent people. So this is coming from us from LBC. The article is written by Danielle DeWolf. I will have a link to the article itself, which you can put in, which I'll put in the comments, which you can go and read for yourself if you want to kind of go ahead and do that. So this is about how a family-run holiday park was targeted by hundreds of abusive calls from far-right weirdos over false claims that they took government money to house migrants. So footage was widely circulated online, and it led to a huge spread of misinformation after a family of holidaymakers visited the site from London. So, the harassment and backlash is against a park called Ten Creek Holiday Park in Looe, Cornwall, and this began after a visitor at the site started filming a group of British Asian families, or a British Asian family group, who had arrived there on coach on Sunday afternoon. And in the clip, the man can be heard telling the group, "We don't want you here," explaining that he had raised concerns to the resort's bar staff before adding, "They think I'm racist," which, the lack of self-awareness there is, it's delicious. Yeah, of course, they thought you were racist. In the video, you are going up to a group of British Asian people who are just enjoying their holiday in a holiday park, as is their right to do, and you start going, "We don't want your kind around here," and then the person then raised concerns to the bar staff, who were probably completely perplexed and were like, well, they're guests, and then goes, "Oh, they thought I was racist. Oh, I wonder why, buddy." Think about that for a few moments, and you might realise something. So, this footage was then later posted on social media, where it gained traction from local community groups with a slew of inaccurate and just outright lies, and comments suggesting that the group was comprised of asylum seekers being housed by the government, which obviously they weren't. Speaking with LBC, Henry, 32, whose family runs the site, expressed his frustration at the false claims online, revealing that the group was just a large family enjoying a holiday, adding that his employees had faced hundreds of abusive calls. And it goes to show just the sheer prejudice that people have. Because you're in a holiday park, you go to a holiday park, and you see a group of a large British Asian family there, and your immediate thought is, well, they must be asylum seekers, they must be illegals, or whatever. Their thought isn't, oh, there's just a bunch of British people enjoying their family holiday in a holiday park. Oh, God. So, to carry on from where we left off, the person who runs the holiday park says, "It just sort of snowballed," he explained. The rumour was there was asylum seekers, Henry explains. "I think purely because of their colour." Well, yeah, no, I agree with you there, buddy. "And because of the coach, people assumed they were asylum seekers. Which, even if they were asylum seekers, that doesn't justify ringing up staff and harassing them. If you're doing that, go jump off a bridge. Go fuck yourself. That's awful." He then goes on to say, "If we had taken asylum seekers, then Christ, we'd be getting some flack," he adds. "You start thinking, what have we actually done wrong?" In the footage, the man filming is seen to hound the group, who are wearing backpacks and gathered close to picnic tables. After confronting the group, one member calmly asks whether the person who is filming it is okay, which is such a British response. This guy is harassing these people, and they're mean. And one of the persons who's been harassed, the immediate response is, "Dude, are you all right? Is there something wrong with you?" Anyway, One member calmly asks whether the person who is filming is okay and his reason for recording, to which the person who is doing the recording responds, "Well, not really, because we don't want you here." He then questions why the group were allowed to stay at the site, given Ten Creek's policy of not accepting stag parties or large group bookings of men and women. The site owner then goes on to say, if it was a group in their 20s, it would be different. But we were told they were a family, and their ages range from mid-20s to mid-50s and 60s, he explains. The clip rapidly gained traction online after being shared in local community groups, subsequently attracting a flurry of inaccurate comments and misinformation. We're a family-run holiday park for families. We're just never going to take asylum seekers. It's the busiest time of the year. We just never would. He describes how the family in question, who travelled from Cornwall from London, were as good as gold during their stay. So they were perfectly nice people. He then goes on to say, they stayed the night, left the following morning. No one would have known they were apart from this one video. He also revealed that the family had the same experience when they turned up in Newquay the previous day. And then goes on, it's so frustrating. It's just been skewed in such a way that people call and think we're now asylum seekers. It's far from the truth. It's just annoying. Which the fact that the family, from what they said, had experienced something very similar to this is just depressing. But it's unfortunately very indicative of our current hysteria. It is mass hysteria that we are having over refugees and asylum seekers. So, in recent days, strangers have taken to leaving one-star Google reviews, as well as hundreds of nuisance phone calls being made to the site. It's just not nice for the staff to get abused all day, Henry explained. We started getting abusive phone calls. We got a few hundred of them a day. Posting to their Facebook page in wake of the incident, the family-run business said, as a family-run business, we're proud to welcome guests from all backgrounds and remain committed to providing a positive and respectful environment for everyone who visits. They then said, we appreciate the support and understanding shown by our local community and look forward to continuing to welcome visitors to Cornwall in the spirit of hospitality and respect. Henry has also revealed that since the incident, the business has actually seen an uptick in support from the local community and beyond. And he says, to be honest, we actually saw a spike in bookings, Henry explained. And this case is just the latest in a string of incidents of falsely identifying groups of people as asylum seekers. Last year, as the article points out, Welsh villagers wrongly believed that a group of Scottish teenagers at a summer camp were asylum seekers, sparking a wave of online abuse that police are currently investigating. In that particular clip, posted on Facebook, because of course, was flooded with abusive comments and fake claims that Gwent police were guarding the area. The video was removed after the police were alerted, with scout leaders warned over a racially aggravated incident targeting under 18s. And what this kind of links to is we've in previous videos we've talked about the ecosystem, the right-wing, far-right ecosystem that exists, and how basically facts and things that are actually happening just don't matter. You see someone that isn't white, and you see a group of people who aren't white, and you immediately just say, they're asylum seekers, they're illegal immigrants, they're bad, we're going to dogpile them, we're going to spread misinformation around the internet and around our shitty little Facebook groups, and the facts and the truth be damned. And what is particularly alarming to me is the fact that if you are basically not white, then you essentially run the risk of people coming up to you and essentially accusing you of being an asylum seeker or refugee or an illegal migrant just because of the colour of your skin. It's just outright prejudice and racism. That's all it is. And when it comes to the whole hysteria around migrants and refugees, you know, the reason it is not their fault that there are currently a number of people that are claiming refugee status in the UK. The reality is that the system set up by successive governments is incredibly underfunded, which means that their cases take a very long time to go through, which means that they have to be housed somewhere. You have to have a roof over their heads, and they have to be fed, because obviously, because of the law, people that are seeking asylum in the UK can't work. They're not allowed to. A person has to be here for a certain amount of time. I don't recall off the top of my head what the specific amount of time is, but it's quite substantial. So obviously they have to be fed or given some kind of allowance to survive. We can't have people just starving out in the streets. That's unacceptable. Despite what far-right lunatics would have you believe, it is unacceptable. And successive governments have chronically underfunded this system. And the reason why it's underfunded is because this government and successive governments are basically terrified of doing so. And the reason they're terrified of doing so is because you so much as allocate more people and more resources to the asylum process, which is what it actually needs. That's why there is a backlog of cases. It's because there just aren't enough people or resources to actually clear the backlog. You actually do that, and then you get hit pieces from like the likes of the Telegraph, the Mail, and whichever far-right paper you want, or far-right columnist, saying things like, oh, the government is spending millions and millions on asylum seekers, this is wrong, this needs to be stopped, they're literally giving money out to them, this kind of nonsensical rubbish that they often claim. And governments are just terrified of getting the bad publicity, so they just sit there and don't do anything about the particular issue. No, they do something. I tell a lie. They criticise the people that are sat there having to wait. That they're happy to do, because that costs them nothing. It costs successive governments nothing to criticise asylum seekers who are basically just sat there having to wait for this incredibly underfunded and undermanned system to basically either decline or accept their case. It's got nothing. That's not their fault. It's the fault of the government, and it's also, in a broader sense, kind of the fault of media and kind of society in general. The fact that we basically would flip our shit if a government actually allocated proper resources to actually clearing this backlog. And this incident is quite a good demonstration of it. Just the sheer mass hysteria that we have basically entered into is incredibly alarming and disturbing, and it's whipped up by the far-right media, the billionaire class, and the conservative hacks who make a profit of it. But anyway, thank you very much for this particular rant today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you later. So, bye-bye.